tonight's presentation is honoring our ancestors. I'm going to start with a disclaimer. If your relationship with your relatives was strained when they were earthbound, or you feel disconnected from your heritage, the thought of connecting with and asking your ancestors for aid can be disconcerting. It may also be an opportunity to address old wounds. Do so only if comfortable, and remember, the person that was is gone. The spirit of that person hopefully learned the lesson. Blessed be. That's my little disclaimer. And I want to show you a book that you can find some great information in if you would like to do deep ancestral work. Badass Ancestors, Finding Your Power with Ancestral Guides by Patty Wigington. Just came out. I read it cover to cover. As soon as I got my hands on it, it was really great. She is a fantastic pagan author and a friend of mine. And she always says things so straightforward, so honestly and simply that it's totally understandable, right? And this book says it all. She's done extensive ancestor work. She has gone back generations upon generations. She has found good guys and bad guys in the mix. And she talks about that. She talks about finding out that maybe your beloved dead weren't so beloved. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more to this. But what I want to talk about tonight is connecting with your beloved dead at this time of year. Samhain marks the end of the harvest when the world is setting in for a long winter's rest and a perfect time for reflection and memories of days gone by. It is said the veil between worlds is thinner at this time, and the chances you may have a visit of otherworldly kind are good. Are you ready for something like that? How can you encourage something like that? Do you want to? Our ancestors can represent a wellspring from which we may draw wisdom in times of need and can act as our spirit guides. They've been through their life, maybe more than one. And they may have something to teach us, some encouragement. Since our forebears spent at least one lifetime experiencing the tribulations that are a part of human existence, the perspective they can offer is a uniquely grounded one. Ancestral spirit guides can empathize with our fears, frailties, worries, temptations, and insecurities. Once you have requested their guidance, they will support that you emerge on the far side of conflicts and are equipped to fulfill your potential. Think about that. You are a reflection of them. Your relatives that came before you raised their children, maybe or maybe not saw their grandchildren born. They would be happy to see you successful. This is what we're going with. This is what we're going to keep in mind when we're connecting with them, that it should be friendly and positive visits. We can use our relationship with ancestors to build gratitude for where we are now, reflect on their past hardships to take courage in our lives. You know, my granny my maternal grandmother that lived with me, she was born in 1899. She saw the last pandemic. She saw the Great Depression. She saw World War I and World War II. She could tell me about the first airplane she ever saw in the sky. She was a grown woman. How much the world has changed in just 100 years, you know? But so connecting with her makes a vastly different perspective on the lives that we're leading now, you know? Kind of slows things down and simplifies them a bit. I like visiting with her. She's funny. And I remember her in life. My other grandmother, I passed before I was born. But ancestors don't have to be blood relatives. Just as we enjoy a family of choice, we can develop ancestors of choice. You might have an elder or a historical character, someone that you knew or heard about, and do the research and get to know them. And then they could be part of your beloved dead that you would visit this time of year. Does anybody have any connections with relatives like that? Let me stop sharing for a minute.
I do.
Okay, tell me something about what I've said so far.
Well, I actually get it completely. For years before I became a pagan or a Wiccan, I've always had a connection with anything fantasy and magic and stuff like that. And for a couple of years, I've always felt like this woman's presence. And then when I was 14 years old, I learned the story of my grandmother's aunt, her father's sister. And the story how in Cuba she goes to her brother, I need to go into town. Now my grandmother's a little girl, so it tells you how long ago this was. And the brother says to his sister, I can't. I got to cut them this whole field, and then I could take you into town. Just this whole field. I guess she was in a rush to go. She took a machete from one of the workers and cut a stone in half, and it was like the whole field collapsed.
Wow. Is that a vision of yours or a story?
This is a story that my grandmother says, and everyone called her the bruja, which is Spanish for witch. Mm-hmm. And I always had a connection with something like that. So I had a vision of a woman, a dream one time. She gave me a pentagram. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And then 2 days later, I learned about Wicca, and that's where the journey took off. And every now and then I see her, always in like kind of like a garden, little, what's it called? Not like a house, a cottage home. Mm-hmm. Like every now and then I just see her like in the cottage home, and she's just smiling and happy at everything I do. And then if I see her, if it's raining and she looks pissed off, that's when I know I did something bad.
See that?
And it's legit.
Okay, I believe you. And
the other thing is, my grandfather, randomly, sometimes I'll just smell Cuban cigars, and they're very distinct. Mm-hmm. I smell it randomly, and I'm like, oh, Grandpa's here.
All right. Okay, Sarah?
Yeah. I have a couple of stories. So I'll start with the short one. When I was really little, there was this rocking chair that my grandpa made in my bedroom. And sometimes at night, I would see a woman, like an old woman in blue, sitting in the rocking chair, rocking it and watching me when I went to sleep. And I always thought she was my grandma, even though all my grandmas were alive. So I'm not sure who she was, but she was one of my grandmas.
great grandma? Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking maybe it could be like a great grandparent or maybe a past life person.
Great grandparent, probably, yeah. But the other story, is my great grandma. I think I got the sight from her to see ghosts and things, because she keeps an eye on me a lot. And this last time when I was up in Minnesota, she came to me in sort of a dream and let me know it's been a while since I visited her gravesite and I need to drop by again.
Hey?
So I said, okay, I'll tell my mom that when we go up north, we'll stop in and we'll say hello. So this last time we went up north and we stopped at the cemetery where she was buried. And I kind of went up there and I was like, hey, great grandma Lambert, how are you doing? And my mom was there and she and my great grandpa both turned up. And I think my great grandpa told my mom, because suddenly she was like, why am I remembering that my grandpa used to love chocolate cake with cherries? And I'm like, oh, well, maybe they want that for the Samhain dinner.
They'll let you know.
So that they're gonna get some chocolate cake and cherries for Samhain. I invited them to dinner.
From the Black Forest area of Germany.
Yep.
We will see that it's very much like visiting your relatives in life to connect to your beloved dead. There's nothing to be afraid of. Some people are like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, you know. Well, it would be the same as going to grandma's house or, you know, Aunt Bessie's house when they were alive. It can be done all year long, but this time of year when the veil is thin, it's a great time to start that connection because it's easier. They're right there. They're right there. And you'll see some years you're more connected than others. But you could actually communicate that with them to the point where you can hear them talking to you. Now, it might be a voice in your head or an actual voice that you hear, just a whisper or a buzz. They are a vibration now. So you might just hear the buzzing. And there's, of course, you can meditate. They'll come to you in dreams. You can use a book. Sometimes this is use the written word and use a book as a form of divination. You can just, you know, concentrate and say, I would like a message from my grandmother. What would she say to me? And I totally randomly looking at a page and it says, live authentically with purpose. That's what this book said. That's the chapter that I opened up to. So, you know, you can get these messages from beyond quite easily. Another way would be to write, just like what do they call that when you just write? Auto writing. Yeah.
It's called ghost writing or something like that.
Yeah, there's a word for it. Okay. If you really want to get fancy, you can have come on. You can hold a dumb supper. Is there anyone here who has ever been to a dumb supper at Samhain time?
Mm-hmm. I usually hold one on the first.
A silent dinner or something like that. Yeah.
That's the same thing. Yeah. Now, the original meaning of the word dumb is without voice. Now it has become a slander because people would say, if you didn't answer right away, what are you, dumb? So it's become another word for stupid. But there are folks who say we should take back that word and use it as originally intended. If that word is not to your liking, then you can call it a silent supper. It's up to you. It's not, it's a matter of conscious or what it connotes to you. Remember, intention is the better part of our magic. So we went to a home and it was done very ceremoniously. Everyone stood together, placed paper, a note to spirit under the place setting that was there for spirit. A bell was rung, and then there was no sound. There was no talking, nothing for the entire dinner. And then when everyone was done, you found your note and you burned it in a little cauldron that was there on the table. And nobody said anything until we went outside and shared our experiences. It's very intense because you're sitting there in silence, and it really causes you to focus and to listen. I think that's the main point of doing anything in silence, is to listen. We have music playing, we have the television on, we have our phones are binging and ringing, and everything is distracting us. If you can, for a moment, shut everything off, even yourself and everyone around you, you have a better chance to get that message, to listen and receive that message from beyond. I was quite surprised because the theme of the dinner was Italian food. So of course I brought the pasta fazool and the Bessie's meatballs, and I thought, oh, I'm going to hear from my Italian side of the family. And don't you know, my Aunt Eileen, who was Irish, married to my uncle, Louis, she's there. She joins the party and says, what are you doing here? You know, like what, why are you practicing this Celtic dinner? And but she thought it was beautiful. She thought it was beautiful. We had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time remembering her, you know, so it was good. I enjoyed it. There's other ways. If your ancestors do not speak to you directly or visit you in your dreams, it might be something more subtle. Synchronicities are the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related, but have no discernible causal connection. It just happens, right? Examine your life to determine whether they are replying to your queries subconsciously. Here are some signs you can look for. Dreams, of course, are the most common way to be visited by those in spirit, both by deceased loved ones and spirit guides. While you may talk yourself out of the visitation dream, even if you have had one, these types of dreams are much different than regular dreams. In spirit visitation dreams, a deceased loved one often enters the dream and is surrounded by some sort of light. There is usually a level of peace you experience upon waking. In the dream, a deceased loved one may talk to you or ask you to deliver messages. They usually offer some sort of comfort that they are okay, everything is peaceful, and that they made it to the other side comfortably. Pets can come in visitation dreams too. Has anyone ever had an experience like that?
Me, many times.
Yeah, many times.
Many times.
A few times.
That's nice. It's nice.
I have them more often than I care to admit.
It should be a pleasant experience.
I'll try. Put down 5 because 5 doesn't change, right?
For me, it usually is, but then it's usually somber when I wake up because then it's like usually it's like a past relative. For me, it's like it makes me depressed sometimes because I'm just like, man, I kind of wished it would last a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's bittersweet when they leave, right? Because
Exactly. Yeah.
gone.
It's
Yeah, I get that. Sounds can be a sign of a loved one trying to connect with us. This is called clairaudience. It is possible to hear the voice of your loved ones externally, as though they are speaking to you in human form. You may also hear their voice internally through
Like
thought or
telepathically?
word transference.
I'm talking about like telepathically.
Yeah, you can, you hear their voice. Like sometimes I'll be doing something and I just know what my mother would have said. I can hear her say it, you know. It doesn't happen as much anymore as it used to, right after she passed. I mean, she's been gone since 1990.
No, was that
99, maybe
like
92,
93,
93, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, she's been gone quite a while, so she's probably moved on to better and brighter things. I hope so. I don't hear it as much as I used to. But when you do, like you're talking to your grandmother sometimes when you're cooking or you're cleaning, you know, listen, see if they have something to say back to you, and then just relax and let it come through. That's the biggest thing about it, is to relax, to listen, let it come, let the message come through. You might hear music that's not there. You might, or the same song might happen on numerous occasions. Like, and it's like, I haven't heard that song in years. And now I'm hearing that song, and that was Uncle so-and-so's favorite song. You know what I mean? Also, think about the way that person was in life. You can't expect your grandfather, who was a mechanic and barely finished the 8th grade. I'm talking about my father right now. Okay. You can't expect him to leave you poetry, to write your poetry, or any fancy thing. But Carl and I know that when something clicks in the car and we don't pay attention to it, that's my father and his grandfather smacking us. Don't. And then when that idiot light comes on, we're like, don't let that happen. So those are the kind of things. One time we bought some lattice, and we strapped it to the top of the car with bungee cords. So stupid. And we're puttering down the road on the way home, and for some reason we thought, oh, it's not bouncing too much. I think we can get up on the highway. And so we go up on the highway, and as we're picking up speed, I just happened to think, Carl, what's the wind velocity of a Cat 1 hurricane? He goes, I think they start at 55 miles an hour. I'm like, so how fast are we going? 55 miles an hour. Just then, the lattice goes flying off the car, and we dragged it down the ramp and to the side of the road. And we had a perfectly good piece of rope in the car that we should have used. And we both heard my father and his grandfather screaming at us all the way home that we were so stupid. Why would we do that? And we think about that. We have not used bungee cords since.
Oh gosh. that is
Good
funny.
call.
You must have a good rope in the car always. All right.
Why do you think I have about 200, 300, 400 feet of paracord in my car at any one point?
Absolutely. You're smart. Some people see signs of their beloved dead in nature, right? They believe that a loved one will make themselves known in the form of some kind of animal or creature, like a butterfly, especially if it lands on your shoulder, or a bird that nests near your home. Cardinals and are
I think blue jays too.
blue jays. Okay, they're a sign of that.
Sorry.
No. Another creature may catch your eye for some reason. Just anything that catches your eye, and you think maybe that was sent by someone. Especially if it's normally an animal that's frightened, that doesn't, but they come near you and actually touch you. You know, like if you were in the woods and a deer came up close to you, and the way they just look at you, you know that it's a connection with someone past, and you'll usually, that person will pop into your head, and that'll be a nice visit. Appetite is so very much family, you know, because family is connected to cooking and eating, and you remember people by what they made, by different family occasions, Thanksgivings and Christmases and what have you. You know, if you didn't experience your actual heritage firsthand, it might be an older relative looking for a visit when you think, I'd really like to start cooking, you know, Mexican food or Italian food, you know, and your desire is actually to connect to that heritage, that and visit with them. Take it as an invitation to get to know the folks who came before you. That the smells, the scents of cooking, absolutely fantastic. Now, remember, Omar said that those Cuban cigars were a sign that,
Yep.
you know, he was there. He was there in the room. Your grandmother might have worn a special perfume, and you just get a waft of it sometimes. You know, he's there. The ability to smell the fragrance from a deceased loved one or spirit is called clairalience. Clairalience. Clairalience.
Yeah.
That's the name of that.
Mm-hmm.
These visits consist of a perfume or someone's favorite flowers or someone's cooking, and you might get home and you notice that your home smells like grandma's apple pie, you know, or the cigar your grandfather smoked. I actually wrote that down.
Yeah.
Very good.
That man loved to smoke.
So when that happens to you, you know, just say hello. They're saying hello. So say hello back and listen.
Oh, I do.
Good. Any other experiences that someone would like to share?
I had one of our Rennie friends had passed, and we all gathered under trees to say a goodbye ceremony for her. And, you know, no relation to our dragonfly, but Denise also loved dragonflies. And while the ceremony was going on within the park at Clark, all of a sudden, hundreds
Oh,
of
Wow.
butterflies swirled above us.
that's amazing.
That's
And
nice.
I will never forget that. Never.
It gives you chills just to think about something like that happening.
Yeah, it was a sudden accident, and I think, you know, she just wanted to let us know that she appreciated that she was remembered. And I was like, of course, you know, it was so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um, I'm looking at the chats, and Artemis said doves are a great sign of that too, and owls. Janine
I
said,
think it's because doves signify like pure and like white, right?
Mhm.
And that's something from the divine or something like that.
Right.
I have a question.
Get short.
I have a question.
Yes.
When he was talking a while ago about his grandfather and the cigar smoke, I had my grandfather used to smoke also, and he used to smoke the tobacco of the old days where they rolled their own cigarettes, and
Right.
that had a distinctive smell. And my grandfather passed away in 1981, and I had I don't even know what you call it, a vision one night when I was asleep, and I don't believe that it was a dream. I believe that he actually came to visit me, and we had a great talk, and he was so wise, and he was the one that I always took any advice because I was a rebel. I wasn't going to listen to my parents.
Oh yeah.
To was this man, my grandfather, and for some years after that vision that I had, I smelled him occasionally, and I would say hello, but all of a sudden that just went away. So my question is it possible that he's been reborn into another baby's body, and that's why I can't seem to reach him now? Is that a possibility? I don't feel like he would leave me.
No, that could be a possibility. Like I mentioned with my mother, she used to be very strong with me, but now she's not with me at all.
Okay.
I hope she moved on, and she, she's taken the lessons that she learned in that life, and is living a better life than she lived with me.
That's comforting to know.
Yeah.
Because for it to just disappear all of a sudden, as a younger person, you think, oh, what did I do to drive them away?
No, nothing that you did.
No.
Artemis, there's also a great book called Many Lives, Many Masters.
I like that
Mary
book.
Weiss, and that can help also explain the whole idea of reincarnation. Many lives, many masters.
Thank you.
Or Brian was.
I read this. Go ahead.
He's a local professor at U of M.
I was gonna say that it could also be that maybe when you call for her, it could be that maybe you're not ready for them to show up, or maybe it's just not the right timing for them to show up. So maybe it's them backing off, saying maybe you need to be more with the world instead of reaching out to them just yet.
That's actually similar to what I was about to say. I read this Buddhist saying that ancestors stay with the young, okay, until they're old enough to lead the path, to lead the life of their own. Until then, they sit and wait for them to move on, so they can be together again.
That explains a lot.
He could also be connecting in different ways. Just because you don't smell that smell anymore, you don't feel the presence. He could come to you in a dream when you need it. When you need it.
Okay.
So
that's good to know also.
Yeah, don't give up on that.
I was also saying that maybe as you develop in your own self and in your own life, maybe like as you grow in your experiences and stuff, the intent of him coming to you changes because you've changed.
So basically what we have talked about is that we just want to treat our beloved dead with the same respect that you would elders in your life. It's a visit. It truly is a visit. And when you make connection, when you make contact with your beloved dead, thank them for being a part of the web of intent and that gave you your life. You are the product of the love of thousands. And we should all remember that and appreciate that. And honoring their wisdom and experience can make your life seem larger and richer. Encourage them with your gratitude. In other words, I'm going to change. Say thank you. Okay? Now, part of part of the ritual that we're going to do at the end of this night, very soon. At one point, we're all going to say thank you. And I want you all to say thank you in every language that you know. So read some of these, okay? Thank you. Grazie. Arigato. What else we got here? Merci.
Spasibo.
Gracias.
Gracias. Danke.
Yes, gracias.
Shane.
Domo arigato.
Right.
Merci.
Merci.
Kamsahamnida.
When I call
Tack means
the
tack means it in Swedish. You do it in
Ah.
Swedish.
all right, I want to hear it in every language that you know, because remember, we're going back to our ancestors. So who knows? I don't know if anybody's done the test where I know Debbie Fisher has, right? You got your DNA tested and you know
Yes.
where your people are from,
Ancestry.
you know? So I want to hear every single language, because some of our, well, think about that. Imagine if you make connection with a beloved dead that doesn't speak English. I don't think that would matter. The intention would still be there. The connection could still be there. The feeling is the same around the world, right?
Mhm.
They'll make you understand. All right. So, something else I want to say. Always stay true to yourself. Like other spirit guides, your ancestors shouldn't interfere with your choices or attempt to deprive you of your free will. If you experience this, sever the ties quickly. Your beloved dead should only do their best to answer your questions and provide you with all the love, aid, and guidance you ask for in order to help you evolve as an individual. You are a reflection of them after all. Something that we can do to encourage a visit is to build an ancestor altar. How many of us have ancestor altars at our homes? When I did the talk on Strega, I talked about the Lares. These are actual ancestors that have been passed down through the generations that become deities. This is how I'm admitting something. Okay. This is my house, okay, and I'm not decorated for Halloween. This is how it looks all year round. This is the breakfast nook. But what I did was make a place to have breakfast and coffee with my grandmothers. It's as easy as that. Connecting with your ancestors isn't hard. It just takes a little thought and effort. And creating an altar or shrine that displays images of your family or objects owned by them can help you connect with individual ancestors. Setting up an altar such as this, especially at this time of year, will encourage a visit. There are certain things that you can put on this altar to encourage the visit. We're going to go through some crystals first, okay? I have these 5 crystals on my altar. The first one, obsidian, here, has been used as a potent scrying tool over the ages. It is actually hardened volcanic lava turned into a glass like rock. Because of its use in divination to see the other side, and because it is connected to your root chakra, which connects you to the earth, it is a powerful stone to use in contacting one's ancestors. This one, selenite, is connected to the crown chakra, your direct line to the divine. It is high vibrational and self-cleanses. Selenite's white light brings clarity and breaks through debris that clouds our auras, blocking us from connecting with our ancestors. It's good to use selenite and obsidian together because one will have you floating in the air and the other one will connect you, ground you back to the earth. So you've got them both going on that way. Amethyst is known by most crystal lovers as a powerful intuition crystal. It also aids in opening the third eye and increases prophetic dreams. When our third eye is opened, our ancestors speak to us through our dreams and visions. Lapis Lazuli, another third eye stone, was used by the ancient Egyptians to honor royalty in the afterlife. Because of its connection with the ancient dead, it is a potent tool to use in ancestor work. And bloodstone is known to heal cardiovascular illnesses and disease. It gets the blood pumping, so to speak, and therefore has a link to ancestor work. The blood in our veins is the blood that once ran through our ancestors' veins. Therefore, bloodstone is a must-have stone for ancestor work. And if you look back, the little pieces that I have, right, you don't have to have, you know, the world's biggest piece of amethyst or anything like that. I have them all right here, ringing around the front of the altar to add their energies to my connection. If you see, I also have a little bowl of herbs. I'll tell you what those are. This is my Samhain blend right here. First, we have mugwort. Mugwort not only has protective qualities, but also enhances psychic visions, dreams, and astral travel. Ancestors often come to us in our dreams and through psychic visions. So mugwort is an essential herb in connecting with our beloved dead. Some paranormal investigators burn mugwort to attract ghosts, but I like a tea before bedtime. That's nice. I mix it with peppermint and mugwort tea before bedtime, and you will have some nice dreams. You want to encourage a visit. Wormwood. This is what wormwood looks like in the wild. Now, wormwood can be toxic if you burn it, so be very careful with wormwood. It's the key ingredient to absinthe, and the hallucinogenic ingredient in wormwood is called thujaun, which is also present in mugwort, but to a lesser degree. Some people are very sensitive to the thujaun, while others aren't affected at all. Absinthe has quite a reputation, you know, because once upon a time it was distilled, I don't know, at home, and it could be 80% alcohol, 80-90% alcohol. This is your basic Oscar Wilde, you know, absinthe. But if you go down to Total Wine and More now and buy absinthe, it will be probably 50% alcohol, which is, it's more than average, because your basic vodka, whatever, is 40%. But you might have a relative that would appreciate a little shot glass of absinthe on the altar. But, you know, it doesn't mean you have to imbibe. You could have your cup of mugwort while they have their absinthe. To each his own. Bay leaves look like this up here. Okay. And it's in the laurel family. This is what they look like still on the tree. Of course, you probably have a bottle of bay leaves in the kitchen, dried bay leaves to put in the stew. They have been used to enhance psychic abilities for centuries. Roman priests used to chew the leaves to acquire messages from the gods. But a kitchen witch might scratch a sigil on a bay leaf before they throw it in the pot. That's something that could be done too. Tobacco is what tobacco looks like in the field. It's used in voodoo and hoodoo and traditions and as offerings to the spirits. Native Americans have smoked tobacco as an initiation to many things, and including friendships, alliances, and at the beginning of a long journey. And then the fifth ingredient in my Samhain blend is pine needles. This is helpful to connect to ancestors because it is an evergreen, right? With a prehistoric past. It burns easily and has been known for its resin for hundreds of years. Pine represents immortality and renewal. Therefore, it is a must-have herb in taking to the ancestors. And this is what it looks like when I dried it all out and I blended it all together. And it really smells good. I like the smell of wormwood and I like the smell of tobacco before it's burnt. I don't like the smell after it's burnt, but I like it before it's burnt. All these together make a very nice blend. Okay. So what else can we put on our ancestor altar? Well, candles. That's a no-brainer. You light a candle for the dead. Now, I included a white, red, and black candle for my ancestor altar because it is for my grandmothers, and I wanted to represent the maiden mother crone. These two women experienced all three stages of life, as have I, so I can connect with them in these three very different ways. You can choose a candle in the color that you feel would be appropriate. Something like a blue candle, purple candle, something for the psychic abilities, and or just lots and lots of tea candles just to make it look beautiful. Memorabilia also is important. Uh, this is my granny Lula, the one that lived with me. She taught me how to crochet. So of course, we have a ball of yarn and crochet hook for her. My grandmother Albina passed before I was born, but I feel her presence when I'm cooking. And so I represented her with a small bowl of olive oil with Italian seasonings in it. And so this is how we can connect together. And they both had a nice cup of coffee. Granny always had a cup of black coffee, always. I don't know if Grandma Albina, but I think a nice Italian girl from Tuscany would like a nice demi-tasse of coffee. I have this entire demi-tasse set. It belonged to my Aunt Mary, which is Lula's daughter. So you see, I have a lot of things on this altar that's really connecting me to these two women, and that it just takes a little thought, and put it together. Has anybody here built an ancestor altar, and what kind of things did you put on it? Anybody?
When my cousin passed away a couple years ago, Brandy, we actually we still have her picture. It's up there in the corner, right around the kitchen area. But we always put like things of sparkle and glitter and things like that because she was always full of joy, and it's kind of cool. And this is when I kind of told her mom, my aunt, hey, I think she's okay, because it started raining the day of her burial, but then the whole day opened up and it was like the perfect temperature. Everything was perfect. The flowers were blooming, like everything was perfect. And I'm like, yeah, Brandy's good.
Good. All right.
I was just gonna say that when I when I go visit my mother, she has an ancestor altar, but she'd never even consider that's what it is. Whenever it's there, it's like I see it, and she wouldn't admit that's what it was. She'd be like, okay, well, I'm just putting pictures there. But every time I see it, I'm like, it's an ancestor altar.
Janine said in the chat that she has a beautiful ancestor altar that has many beloved dead on it, including my animal familiars. Don't remember them too. Janine says pictures, candles, incense, statues, ashes from being cremated, also a special wooden hanging altar box. Artemis wants to know, is there a way that you can discourage a visit from an unwanted ancestor? And is this wrong to do? Absolutely not. You know what? If you wouldn't have them in the house in life, don't have them in your head after death. For heaven's sakes, just tell them they're not welcome. Goodbye. Hey, you know how on Samhain we put a jack-o'-lantern on the front porch? Well, that's to encourage visits. But the second part of that nobody ever talks about is to have apples at the back door. Outside the back door, you should have a bowl of apples. So this way you can say, hail and farewell.
Okay.
Out you go.
Thank you, Alba.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, you do not have to share your living space with anyone that you don't want to, alive or
I have a question though. What if they're there to give you a message or something of some sort?
Well,
That's a good question.
Yeah, you can listen to them and get the message from them, but you don't have to be harassed if you're.
Because, well, no, but I was also thinking like, because you said that like sometimes whatever they were on Earth, they're no longer that person
right
anymore. What if we're still holding on to what they were before when they were on Earth, and maybe we should be the ones to let that go?
That's why I was asking if it's wrong to do that.
No, that's ancestor work. It's not, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. It's just not what you're ready to do yet. You don't have to, you know, assume that they've changed or anything like that. You could ask them for proof, or you know what? Or you could just say, I'm not sorry, ready, but I'm not ready for you. You know, from your own point of view, I'm not ready for you yet. They might have very good intentions. Right after my mother passed away, I was with a friend of mine who is a medium, and she said, your mother's here, and she wants you to know that she's going to take good care of your children and grandchildren. Your grandchildren. She's going to watch over your grandchildren. And I said, tell her she will not go near my grandchildren. I was not ready yet to think of the woman that I knew in life messing with my grandchildren.
Right.
So I was not going to put up with that at that time. Now, in the person I am now, listen, you know, I don't hear her anymore. Maybe she's learned her lesson and moved on. I hope so, you know, or does she just realizes that, you know, I'm not open or receptive to her. But where was I going? I'm all excited. but basically, you don't have to be uncomfortable with anyone. You know, my friend Trish, the day that her ex-husband died, something fell off the wall, and she goes, "Oh no, you don't! I divorced you in life. You ain't living here now." And she just booted his. I mean, I don't care if you have to kick something. Just tell him, out you go. You No?
So what happens? What happens?
Not
what
today,
hap-
Satan.
So what happens if you're smelling certain incense like tobacco or certain perfumes, but you don't know where is it coming from because there's nobody in your family that, what do you do? Do you call on the spirit and ask, or?
If
Yeah, I like to know.
if you're really curious, you can meditate on it and see if anything comes to you. You know, I mean, I visit with my grandma Albina all the time, and I never knew her in life. I don't know for sure if she even liked coffee or, you know, what kind of perfume she wore, but I just get that feeling from her. If I suddenly smelled or heard a song or whatever, and it piqued my curiosity, I'd want to know why. But don't obsess. Don't obsess over it. You know, the messages will come through as you need them. You don't have to feel haunted. That's what
Well,
I'm
no,
trying to say. You know what I mean?
it's been happening for a couple of years now, and I've taken it like, okay, it is what it is, but you know, I just was curious.
You could do some
Usually
more
what
The cauldron of memory is vast and deep. You know, most of us have ancestral lineages that go back thousands of years. So there could be someone from antiquity trying to say, I can help you, you know?
You know, we're in great shape nowadays. We can go to ancestry.com and try to research back a little bit, or, you know, do the research and find out who's in your past, you know, where at least where your people are from, and you might get some clues, you know, get some clues along the way. Think of it as a mystery that you're going to solve, right?
Thank you.
All right, you know what?
I've received communications without knowing who it is. On occasion, I've gotten either woken, or I wasn't necessarily asleep, but alerted with the sound of someone calling out my name. And usually I actually call out. It sounds like there's someone here, but there's no one in my house at the time. And I try to calm myself down and get myself ready to hear or experience if there is something to receive. Looks like my video is not working.
All right, it's getting late. Everybody was. Thank you so much for all your comments and sharing. I have a little ritual for our beloved dead that I would like to do before we close up tonight. And what you need for this, to participate in this ritual, is to know a lot of ways to say thank you, and also to have your favorite beverage close by. So Carl's going to pour us some mead. You know, this ritual is perfect for Zoom. It's like a virtual Samhain. We're going to be using our imagination and all of our senses to do this ritual. So let's prepare ourselves with our sense of touch by feeling our feet on the floor and taking 3 deep breaths. 1 in and out. Allow yourself to relax and clear your mind of any stress. Breathe in. Breathe out. Place your hands on your chest and feel your breath as you breathe in and you breathe out. We will now cleanse our circle with our sense of smell by imagining a scent that means something to you, a memory from your childhood or something more recent. Make it a pleasant scent that makes you happy. Imagine that scent. Push everything stressful away from you and just envelop yourself in this olfactory pleasure. We will now seal our circle of happy with our sense of hearing. Carl, will you play the singing bowl for us, please?
Everyone keeps leaving the dang games anytime when I'm in.
We will now call our quarters. Brune, will you call the east?
I call the east to the ancestors of thought and wisdom, to those long enough for me to be born. Hail and welcome.
Hail,
Hail and welcome. I called to the south, to the ancestors of up, and kept my kin alive, born. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Amanda, will you call to the west?
I call to the west, to the ancestors of healing and emotions, to those who guarded the health and well-being and kept my kind alive long enough for me to be born. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Suzette, will you call to the north?
I call.
Oh. Now close your eyes and imagine yourself at the opening of a labyrinth. As you pass through the gate and start down the path, you feel the breeze against your skin. The path turns to the left. You hear the wind rustle the leaves and delight at the song of the birds. The path bears to the right. That same breeze brings with it the sweet smell of fresh flowers and the musky scent of rich earth. You turn right again and notice the most perfect apple hanging just within your reach. You can almost taste it. You turn right once more and find the center. At the center of the maze is a bench. Someone is waiting for you there. As you sit beside them, you realize who it is, but you remain silent. Listen. They have a message for you. Just breathe for a moment and listen. birds rouse you from your meditation with their joyous song. It is time to make your way back to where you started. Turn left and spy that apple again. It's tempting, but you will leave it here with spirit as a thank you for your message. Turn left again and be reminded of that earthy smell with a flowery note. Another left, and the wind picks up in the trees. Bearing to the right, the breeze is a refreshing welcome to awake you from this visit with spirit. And once again, turn to the left, and you see the gate ahead. As you pass through the gate, you find yourself in the real world again, but better off for having visited with your beloved dead. It's time to stretch and breathe and come back to the here and now. Let's further ground ourselves in the real world by sharing a toast with our ancestors. And there's no need to leave this one up to our imaginations. Let's grab our favorite beverage right here and now and lift it together.
We drink to those who have come before us.
We drink to those who come before us.
You paved the way and made us proud.
You paved the way and made us proud.
May we be a source of pride for you.
May we be a source of pride for you.
May we never thirst.
May we never thirst.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Haha.
Jindan.
Woo, that's some stuff.
Yeah, it is.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Alba.
All right. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just had a question. That horse skull, is that meant to be like Amari Lou in that picture?
Yes, I believe it is.
Oh yeah, and braided hair.
I just noticed that.
Lots of crystals. Beautiful. All right, now everyone together, we're going to release the quarters with our voices by saying thank you in every language that you know. Ready? Go. Thank you.
Arigato.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Donk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias, merci.
Thank you.
Merci.
Surviving long enough so we could be born. All right. Let's open the circle now with 3 big ohms. It's something we haven't done together in a while. You're going to take a deep breath and you're going to say om as forcefully as you can and let it go as long as you can. We're going to do it 3 times. Ready? Breathe in. Again, deep breath in. One more more time, the biggest ohm of the day. That was beautiful. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing this picture. Woo! Good.
That was fabulous.
Thank you, Alba. That was great.
Yes,
That was
it was.
beautiful. Thank you. That was really beautiful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you got a message from your beloved dead and you'll have a blessed Samhain with more and more visits every day. And remember those apples in the backyard. So
Yes, yes, I will not forget that.
The apples need to be outside.
Hail and farewell.
Hail and fair.